Shashi Bareli Subrav's worked in Subrav's lab, but he didn't do PhD. He left in the middle and got the MD degree. And he is now into a new venture of multi-languaging, very novel concept. He's willing to share his ideas, his work with us. With that introduction, Shashi, it's all yours. You can share this your screen and start your talk.
Coming, 1 second. Today's talk is about India's ethical paradox, Dharmic culture but rampant corruption, a linguistic perspective and solution. Before I go with my talk, first I want to thank the organizers, Dr. C.S. Ramesha, Dr. Subbarao Gunapudi, and Professor Vinayak Prasad for making this event possible. I thank everyone for attending this talk. I feel honored to see my research mentor, Professor P.V. Subbarao, in the audience. Namaskaram, sir. I left the Indian Institute of Science more than 42 years ago, but memories of those 3 years are there, pleasantly indelible. It may help to mention that I have 36 slides and a few video clips. So I expect to finish within 60 minutes, and then we should have open discussion, and there is no time limit on how long the discussion phase can continue. Without further ado, I will start the presentation. I will first present about the problem being tackled, and then present my proposed solution. So the title of the talk has been selected after much thought and deliberation. It may sound audacious, but certainly rings true. This presentation is about an embarrassing truth. India has a Dharmic culture. We savor great pride in it, consider it a badge of honor, and revel in proclaiming about it, and consequently claiming it. It is also an uncomfortable but undeniable truth that corruption is rampant in India. So why this paradox? Some people may rationalize it by saying, oh, because it's Kali Yuga. That won't explain. It's a cop-out. Here, I think, is the cause. The emphasis on STEM education, that is science, technology, engineering, and math, without a parallel emphasis on language, especially Sanskrit, is a serious contributing fault. We should recognize that languages are the root of all education, and thus should be given singular importance. Learning languages contributes to forming one's character by connecting with our ancestry. In today's world, no doubt, STEM is of importance, but it hangs in the air without its root. The STEM disciplines are barren without an understanding of ethical decision-making, critical thinking, and better oral and written communication skills. It is universally accepted that science should be integrated into the liberal arts. In fact, it is well documented that scientific geniuses cultivate arts and crafts avocations from which they draw their creativity for science. Dharmic culture and Sanskrit are inseparable. India's Dharmic culture, that is the Sanatana Dharma, is embodied and encoded in Sanskrit, a language that is innately endowed with unique sound, music, and rhythm. So it has an equally uniquely tempering and empowering result on the development of learner's mind and overall character. Is it not interesting? The Sanskrit word rhythm, meaning cosmic order, and the English word rhythm are related. Culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. If so, how can the Dharmic culture be imported as a way of life to the entire Indian society with a population of 1.4 billion people if there are only approximately 25,000 speakers of Sanskrit, as revealed by the news reports? So, what is Sanatana Dharma anyway? The essence of Sanatana Dharma, like the word yoga, it is a non-translatable, it's an endonym. Literally translated, it means the eternal properties. The word Sanatana means eternal, Dharma means properties. Like we studied in high school, like Bhautika Dharmamulu, Rasayana Dharmamulu, that is chemical properties, physical properties. Properties of water, matter, and mind. They are the universal laws of nature, the eternal truth that is beyond any belief system. I would like to think of Sanatana Dharma as the common sense. In other words, the sense common to the 8 billion people out there in this world. So such an innate or the distilled property of the humanity must be beyond any belief system to qualify as Sanatana Dharma. Before seeking out a solution, I would like to present one other aspect of the problem. Consider the state of languages. It is the day of reckoning. This has been very eloquently voiced by, in a documentary film, Voices of the World, The Extinction of Language and Linguistic Diversity by David Crystal and his colleagues. What they say, the world is a mosaic of visions, and each vision is encapsulated by a language. At every 2 weeks, one of the world's approximately 6,500 languages dies out. There are only 6,000 visions out there, and 3,000 of these visions are likely to disappear in the current 100 years. In other words, in another 80 years. The benefits of English are clear, but we must deal with its fatal side effects. The benefits of Anglification are accompanied by cultural impoverishment as a side effect of continuing globalization. I voiced this concern and presented a method to tackle with it in this paper. Multi-alphabetics, a novel model for the simultaneous learning of alphabets for 5 languages by 2 to 5-year-old children, adding a new dimension to the multi-languaging concept and method. It just got published last month. Is it not interesting that translating sorrow into art provides solace, but not, if not the solution? Let us play this short song before presenting a real solution. This song is from my documentary film, and this is a Telugu song, very short song, but there are English subtitles.
The rich linguistic diversity of India provides us with a unique opportunity to learn as many languages as possible and helps in promoting national integration by cementing the bonds amongst the people.
So the multi-languaging, I'm proposing multi-languaging as a solution for the ethical paradox as well as the death of languages that is happening inexorably. So I produced a website and also published a 2,000 plus page ebook and produced a multi-languaging film. And also, last month I published the paper, How to Teach Multiple Alphabets Simultaneously to the 2 to 5-year-old children. So the project I started in March 2019, exactly 4 years ago. And as I mentioned, that started a nonprofit organization, Dr. Seshi's International Center for Multilanguaging, Seshi Academy for Multilanguaging. We all experience diversity is all pervasive because at the time, this was my rationale for starting this project. The diversity of nature, the diversity of general, and the diversity of people and their ways are as embodied in their languages and cultures. I feel so beautiful and mesmerizing. But it raises the question, why are we not celebrating diversity as much as is warranted? To truly celebrate diversity, we need to understand others. Understanding of others' languages provides one concrete window of opportunity toward that goal. Hence this project. This project arose out of the specific and complex context of the language situation in India, as it comprises 28 states, 8 union territories, and 22 official languages. And lo and behold, there are 19,500 mother tongues, as reported in Indian Express. What is the objective and method? The proposal has two parts, both new. The objective is to teach, learn 5 languages. I will soon explain why 5 languages. The method to achieve that objective. The number of languages is not 2, 3, or 4, it is 5. This number has its genesis in the desire to achieve India's national integration and linguistic equality across India. So, what is the foundational principle of multilanguaging proposal? The principle is to use the identical content in all 5 languages, and it will include material that is representative or encompassing of all 5 languages. Of course, it needs to be tested. The current method using different content versus using the new method using the same content. The most common terms in the field are multilingual or plurilingual. I have adopted the term multilanguaging to convey a broad meaning of the concurrent, comparative teaching, learning of multiple languages. What is novel about the method? There exist any number of methods to teach individual languages or their alphabets. However, to the best of my knowledge, none exists that teaches, for example, 5 or 7 languages all together in a correlative and integrated way. It is my thesis that relational learning imparts a thinking skill set, power, and enjoyment to the learner. This new proposal to simultaneously teach, learn multiple languages is transformative, in my opinion, in its potential impact. It is expected to produce a new education paradigm or practice for the teaching of languages. We are all scientists. We don't take anything granted for it. So it remains to be determined whether learning 5 languages by a proposed concurrent simultaneous method or the existing sequential method, which is more effective in terms of measurable outcome parameters to be pre-established. And that determination needs to be done in a setting like a clinical trials setting. Multilanguaging as applied to learning of 5 languages. We must learn our mother tongue, our state language, vernacular language, and of course, international language, English. And I have added 3 pan-Indian languages, Hindi, Urdu, and Sanskrit. All languages start from first class or grade or standard. So in next few slides, I'm going to show you, how the system would look like. For example, a given sentence like English, the lotus flower is born in muddy water and rises to the surface to bloom. Then the other language equivalents are there, Telugu, Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit, and along with the Latin transliteration. And as you can see the radio button here, if you click on it, I will be showing shortly. This is just a screenshot. If you click on it, you would hear the voiceover. So, in other words, this is a visually appearing system where you can see 5 different ways of communicating, and and at the same time you can listen to the voiceovers. Here, for example, simultaneously learning words of a given meaning. I call it multi-languaging word book. For example, the lotus flower is born in muddy water and rises to the surface to bloom. So for each word corresponding to in English, there is a Telugu word, Hindi word, Urdu word, Sanskrit word. Okay. And here, for example, if you click on any of to speak words of a given meaning, and you can click on and listen to, which I'm going to show you very shortly in real demonstration. This is a screenshot. So before I show that, I would like to show 3 video clips.
भारतस्य राष्ट्रियानि चिह्नानि। कमलपुष्पं पङ्कमये जले जनिं लब्ध्वा विकासाय तस्य उपरि तलम् उद्गच्छति। मयूरः आलङ्कारिकान् पिच्छान् द्युतिमत् नृत्यं च प्रयुज्य स्वस्य सौन्दर्यं प्रदर्शयति। मङ्काय इत्यस्मात् तमिळशब्दात् आम्रफलस्य आङ्ग्लभाषायाः नाम मैङ्गो इति शब्दः समुद्भूतः। गङ्गानद्याः महावसः भारतस्य राष्ट्रीय जलचर प्राणी एकः लुप्तप्रायः जातिः च अस्ति। यदा नागः भीतः भवति तदा सः स्वस्य भीषणं फणम् उत्थापयति। वङ्गप्रदेशस्य व्याघ्रस्य चित्रकपट्टिकाः मानवाङ्गुलीनां चिह्नवत् विशिष्टाः भवन्ति। गजः अतीव बुद्धिमान् भूचरः प्राणी अस्ति। तस्मिन् मनुष्याणाम् अपेक्षया त्रिगुणिताः मस्तिष्ककोशाः भवन्ति। वटवृक्षस्य अधः राजकुमारः सिद्धार्थः गौतमः बुद्धः जातः। सः वृक्षस्य बोधिवृक्षः इति प्रसिद्धः अभवत्। गङ्गा गैञ्जिस् भारतस्य विशालतमा नदी अस्ति या हिन्दुभ्यः पवित्रा अस्ति। कञ्चनजङ्गा हिमालयः भारतस्य उन्नततमः विश्वस्य च तृतीयः उन्नततमः पर्वतशिखरः अस्ति। भारतस्य राष्ट्रियानि चिह्नानि।
India's national symbols.
कमलपुष्पं पङ्कमये जले जनिं लब्ध्वा विकासाय तस्य उपरि तलम् उद्गच्छति।
The lotus flower is born in muddy water and rises to the surface to bloom.
मयूरः आलङ्कारिकान् पिच्छान् द्युतिमत् नृत्यं च प्रयुज्य स्वस्य सौन्दर्यं प्रदर्शयति।
A male peacock displays his charms using ornamental feathers and a majestic dance.
मङ्काय इत्यस्मात् तमिळशब्दात् आम्रफलस्य आङ्ग्लभाषायाः नाम मैंगो इति शब्दः समुद्भूतः।
The English name for the mango fruit came from the Tamil word mankai.
गङ्गानद्याः महावसः भारतस्य राष्ट्रीय जलचर प्राणी एकः लुप्तप्रायः जातिः च अस्ति।
The Gangetic dolphin is India's national aquatic animal and an endangered species.
यदा नागः भीतः भवति तदा सः स्वस्य भीषणं फणम् उत्थापयति।
The cobra, when threatened, raises its menacing hood.
वङ्गप्रदेशस्य व्याघ्रस्य चित्रकपट्टिकाः मानवाङ्गुलीनां चिह्नवत् विशिष्टाः भवन्ति।
A Bengal tiger's stripes are as unique as human fingerprints.
गजः अतीव बुद्धिमान् भूचरः प्राणी अस्ति। तस्मिन् मनुष्याणाम् अपेक्षया त्रिगुणिताः मस्तिष्ककोशाः भवन्ति।
The elephant is a very intelligent land animal with 3 times as many brain cells as in humans.
वटवृक्षस्य अधः राजकुमारः सिद्धार्थः गौतमः बुद्धः जातः। सः वृक्षस्य बोधिवृक्षः इति प्रसिद्धः अभवत्।
Prince Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha under a banyan tree, and the tree came to be known as the Bodhi Vriksha.
गङ्गा गैञ्जिस् भारतस्य विशालतमा नदी अस्ति या हिन्दुभ्यः पवित्रा अस्ति।
The Ganga, Ganges, is India's biggest river and is sacred to Hindus.
कञ्चनजङ्गा हिमालयः भारतस्य उन्नततमः विश्वस्य च तृतीयः उन्नततमः पर्वतशिखरः अस्ति।
Kanchenjunga, Himalayas, is India's highest and the world's 3rd highest mountain peak. Prince Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha under a banyan tree, and the tree came to be known as the Bodhi Vriksha.
యువరాజు సిద్ధార్థ గౌతముడు ఒక మర్రి చెట్టు కింద బుద్ధుడయ్యాడు. ఆ చెట్టు బోధి వృక్షముగా ప్రసిద్ధి చెందింది.
राजकुमार सिद्धार्थ गौतम एक बरगद के पेड़ के नीचे बुद्ध बने और इस पेड़ को बोधि वृक्ष के रूप में जाना जाने लगा।
शहजादा सिद्धार्थ गौतम एक बरगद के दरख्त के नीचे बुद्ध बन गए और इस दरख्त को बोधि वृक्ष के नाम से जाना जाने लगा।
वटवृक्षस्य अधः राजकुमारः सिद्धार्थः गौतमः बुद्धः जातः सः वृक्षस्य बोधिवृक्षः इति प्रसिद्धः अभवत्।
Prince,
युवा राजू
राजकुमार
शहजादा
राजकुमारः
Siddhartha,
सिद्धार्था
सिद्धार्थ
सिद्धार्थ
सिद्धार्थः
Gautama,
गौतमा
गौतम
गौतम
गौतमः
became,
अय्याडु
बने
बन गए
जातः
the
ఈ
Buddha,
బుద్ధుడు
बुद्ध
बुद्ध
बुद्धः
under,
కింద
नीचे
नीचे
अधः
a
ఒక
एक
एक
banyan,
మర్రి
बरगद
बरगद
वटवृक्षस्य
tree,
చెట్టు
पेड़
दरख्त
and
మరియు
और
च
the
ఈ
इस
सः
tree,
చెట్టు
पेड़
दरख्त
वृक्षः
came,
పొందింది
लगा
लगा
अभवत्
to
కు
को
be
వచ్చు
जाने
जाने
known,
ప్రసిద్ధి
जाना
जाना
इति प्रसिद्धः
as
గా
रूप में
से
the
ఈ
bodhi,
బోధి
बोधि
बोधि
बोधिवृक्षः
vriksha,
వృక్ష
वृक्ष
वृक्ष
So that is how standalone in Sanskrit alone, sentence by sentence in Sanskrit and English, and sentence and words in 5 languages. This arrangement is made for all 5 languages. So now that is the video format. Now I will briefly show you interactive form. In Sanskrit alone, for example, the user can, start playing.
भारतस्य राष्ट्रीयानि
So this would play the entire lesson.
पुष्पं पङ्कमये जले जनिं लब्ध्वा विकासाय तस्य उपरि तलं
so on and so
उद्गच्छति
forth. Okay?
मयूरः
So I can close
आलङ्कारिकान्
this, which
पिच्छान्
was- Next, this one, 5 sentences. This is the entire lesson here. India's national symbols in 5 languages, and the lotus flower in 5 languages, so on and so forth. So the reader can pick and choose. For example, Hindi, if they want to listen to Hindi.
कमल का फूल कीचड़ वाले पानी में पैदा होता है और सतह पर उठकर खिलता है.
So then, for example, if I want Sanskrit,
कमलपुष्पं पङ्कमये जले जनिं लब्ध्वा विकासाय तस्य उपरि तलम् उद्गच्छति.
see, I myself voiced over in all 5 languages because people might wonder whether this guy can even pronounce these. Let me play a little bit. सतह पर उठकर खिलता है. उर्दू, कमल का फूल कीचड़ वाले पानी में पैदा होता है और सतह पर खिलने के लिए आता है. संस्कृत, कमल पुष्पम पंकमये जले जनिम लब्ध्वा विकासाय तस्य उपरितलम उद्गच्छति. So finally, the words, these are you can click on any word in the lesson in any language. And for example, Urdu, this one.
दिखाता है.
Okay. And Sanskrit.
मयूरः.
So it's very comprehensive in different ways of simultaneously learning 5 languages. It would require only a fraction of the time to learn 5 languages as opposed to learning each language separately. And sometimes it may take a lifetime before somebody realizes, oh, those 2 words are same, but here you are learning more like we study in science, when we study periodic table, for example, okay, we are studying them in a relational way. So in other words, this multi-languaging project is transforming the study of languages more like a scientific discipline. Okay. Here, these are the first alphabet letters in 5 languages, A, R, Alif, and A. They are similar, they are same in Hindi and Sanskrit. So, but the others are different. The point is, same sound, but different script symbol. Another visible form of India's national motto, unity in diversity, vividhatayam ekata. Okay? Outward forms may differ, but the essence is the same. We talk about linguistic diversity in India. In fact, in each state has its own linguistic diversity, but not many people know. Oh, when say Tamil Nadu, it's Tamil. Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, oh, it's Telugu. But there are many other languages. So I created a language map of India in an interactive form in 5 languages. So when you click on a given state, it would tell all the at least 5 languages spoken in that state. For example, here when I clicked on Telangana, you would see not just Telugu, but also Urdu, Marathi, Kannada, and Hindi. So in fact, one of the linguists told me, my God, I myself did not know that this kind of diversity in the states. Okay. So having created a simultaneous language learning program, now I thought, this was 2 years ago, I thought now I was ready to produce the textbooks from 1st grade to 10th grade. Okay. So I chose the India's national symbols as the cover images from 1st grade to 10th grade. But then it occurred to me, the child never learned the alphabet. How am I going to be able to expect them to understand these textbooks? So then I put a hold on it and worked on developing how to teach multiple alphabets simultaneously to the preschoolers, that is, 2 to 5 year old children. That took 2 years to develop the concept. And as I mentioned before, it just got published. The title of the paper is Multi-Alphabetics, a novel model for the simultaneous learning of alphabets for 5 languages by 2 to 5 year old children, adding a new dimension to the multi-languaging concept and method. It is published in a peer-reviewed journal, Open Journal of Modern Linguistics. So I'm going to show you 6 frames, which I call infographics. And because when I mention to friends and other people, I would like to be able to teach 5 different alphabets to 2 to 5 year old children starting 2 to 5 years. They laughed at me. How is that even possible? Inconceivable. But I think it is possible, eminently possible. What I did, actually, even in the previous, as a part of my website, I have a section called Alphabetics. There I created, for example, English has 26 letters, Telugu 51, Hindi 57, Urdu 39, and Sanskrit 49 letters. So I came up with 2 keywords for each alphabet letter in each of the 5 languages. That becomes 444 images. When you say mother, it is a concept. In English, people call that concept mother. In Telugu, people call that concept or image amma, so on and so forth. So I now have 444 images, concepts, or meanings. These 444 meanings, for example, A in English, I came up with apple and astronaut. Telugu amma addamu. Hindi akshamala agarbatti. Urdu asteen atish. Sanskrit astipanjaraha ajaha. So like this, these 444 meanings are derived from 5 languages. So those 444 images form the foundational study set for teaching 5 different alphabets. The key concept is the student, the child, is always learning the previously learned information as an anchor. For example, a child of Hindi background first learns to speak 444 Hindi words corresponding to 444 images. At age 2, simply watching the videos, not being bothered by any script. So learning to speak Hindi words. Next, having learned the words, learns to write the 444 words, Hindi words in Hindi script. That is learning to read and write the Hindi script. Then learn to speak the 444 words in all 5 languages written in Hindi script. Finally, learns to write the other 4 language scripts in succession. So here is the step 1, learning to speak 444 words in mother language. In case of Hindi children, this in Hindi. A short story or rhyme in English about each of the explored images, 444 are created and translated into the other 4 languages. The story is told by the image itself in a playful manner using 2D, 3D animation. The child watches and learns the story's rhymes in his or her mother language, monolingual rhymes. So, starting at age 2 and finishing by age 3, the child of Hindi background learns to speak 444 Hindi words corresponding to those images without no reference or knowledge to any of script, not even the Hindi script, thus laying the conceptual foundation for further exploration. Here I am giving, for example, Seb, Antarikshayatri. These two Hindi words are derived from English alphabet words like apple and the astronaut. Like that, Mata, Darpan from Telugu, Akshamala, Agarbatti from Hindi, Astin and Ba and Agni from Urdu, Kankal, that is Astipanjaraha, and Bhera or Brahma from Sanskrit. So, in step one, the child learns to speak 444 meanings in their mother language. Next, this is straightforward. So, in other words, the child has already learned 444 words in Hindi. Now, that using that as an anchor, learns to write them in Hindi script. It's a standard conventional path of learning. I don't need to explain any further. Next, step 3, learning to speak and read 444 words from the other 4 languages written in mother language script in Hindi as if they were all Hindi. Okay. For example, apple is written in Hindi script. Boy is written in this script. And apple pandu Telugu word written in Hindi script. Baludu Telugu word written in Hindi script. Same. Ladka, and Sanskrit words ata phalam and balakaha written in Hindi script. I mean, which happens to be the same script for the Sanskrit. So the child is still operating under the shelter of his or her mother language. Finally, having learned all the words, 444 meanings in 5 different languages, now learns to write the 4 other scripts in a straightforward way. This he or she does at 4.5 years, which is very mature. And by this time, the child has watched 444 monolingual rhymes and 444 multilingual rhymes. So, couple of points. One point, nobody can complain at any stage, oh, this is too much for the child. At age 2, the child aged 2 and 3 is simply watching the videos, no writing, no nothing, and learning the concepts. Next, simply learning to write their mother language script for the words they already learned. And then learning the foreign language words, but written in mother language script, but they're all mapped onto the same images that he or she has learned in the mother language. Okay? So the point is here, of the 5 languages, the least spoken language is Sanskrit. There are only 35,000 out of 1.4 billion people. So Sanskrit is the leading beneficiary of my program. It provides a practical way of learning Sanskrit in tandem, piggyback, and on par with modern languages, starting with age 2 years. In this way, my hope is that in 20 to 30 years, Sanskrit will quietly achieve a status equal to that of the other languages of India. Despite my enchantment for and emphasis on Sanskrit, it will be learned in combination with 4 other languages: English, state language, Hindi, and Urdu. That produces true mobility between languages. So it is a win-win for all the 5 languages and will greatly serve to connect people of India to one another, making India the linguistic envy of the world. In a nutshell, multilanguaging provides a key to harnessing the India's rich language diversity. And it transforms what seems on the surface like a nightmare or minefield of languages into a gold mine. Here is looking at you, kid. Okay, so that is what I wanted to present. And the floor is open for discussion. Please feel free to ask me any questions.
Yeah, outstanding work and excellent presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, one of the things with respect to English and other Indian languages, especially Sanskrit, has this Hraswa and Dirgha and Alpaprana and Mahaprana. So how do you correlate these 47 letters with the 27 letters of the English, or multiple letters of the other Indian languages with the limited 27 letters of the English? That might develop some confusion among
See, yeah, I understand your concern. The idea is not to, there is no one-to-one mapping within the alphabet letters per se. Okay, what I'm trying to do at the word level, we are taking 2 words for each alphabet letter and learning the words first, and then going back and learning the individual alphabets. And for that matter, even more complicated, Indian languages have compound letters. English doesn't have, right? Komu, Wottu, and all that. So the alphabets have to be learned individually. And the thing is that having learned the words, then going back and learning the alphabets, I don't think it would be a problem.
I'm worried about the distortions of the language in terms of how they are pronounced in the absence of those the Kombu, Otus, and in Alpaprana, Mahaprana, Dirgha, and all. So that's the only concern.
Can I intervene, sir? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Narasimhan. I retired from the University of Madras as professor and head at Department of Sanskrit. Just out of love for this subject, somebody sent me through WhatsApp. I just joined. I thought I was a misfit. So regarding your question as to how to tackle the problem of English having only 26 alphabet and Sanskrit having 49, other languages having multiple numbers. So regarding that, actually there is what is known as an international phonetic for alphabet, wherein all alphabet of all languages can be represented in English alphabet with some stroke above or some dot below or above with a tilde kind of things. So all these problems could be tackled.
In fact,
you adopt that. That is what I thought you adopted in your transliteration.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for pointing that out. In fact, I have used International Sanskrit Alphabet for Sanskrit and Library of Congress transliteration scheme for Hindi, Telugu. So there. Thank you for answering that. Appreciate it.
More to hear. I am not able to get my video, but first of all, this is a spectacular intellectual work, and I know I'm really happy and fortunate to know you and your epic work, and it will see light one day. But I want to be practical and pragmatic as well. Okay, when we are taxing 2-year-old children with so much to learn already, how do you tell parents and children that this learning 5 languages instead of 1, at the maximum 2, is critical for their future? That's one thing. Second thing is, language, if you look into it, it is not an intellectual pursuit. It becomes an intellectual pursuit afterwards when we grow up. As a child, primary goal of a language is to learn its surroundings and communicate with its surroundings. So you're going from essential acts of motorics and brain structure to intellectual acts at the age of 2 to 5. And I'm a bit worried about the practical implementation of this wonderful work.
Thank you. If I may answer, at the age 2 to 3, there is no, if I may say, there is no intellectual aspect per se. The child is simply watching. I have produced a documentary and Apple singing, and also I used some of the imageries in the just published paper also. It's pure entertainment from age 2 to 3, pure entertainment. The child is lying down in a cradle or whatever and watching apple playing or male peacock dancing, and with the few words from age 2 to 3, it's purely listening and watching. And have you ever watched Coco Melon? It's more like that. Okay, so for each alphabet letter, there would be a story, rhyme, vignette along with the same quality and enjoyable. For example, let me give you one experience. My sister-in-law does baby sitting and 3 or 4 children. And at one time, she wants to feed them. They would simply push her away from watching the Coco Melon. So what I'm saying, so at this point, pure entertainment for the children. But once they reach 3 years, then learning the alphabet, that's no big deal. But once you learned your own, all these 444 images and how to write, then learning the other language words. See, it is built on a step by step, and each step, the previously learned information is acting as an anchor. So, actually, a child is a linguist, scientist, everything. We don't recognize how much capacity, absorbent capacity, Maria Montessori fantastically expressed that. So what I'm trying to say, again, this is an experimental system, and it is not going to be imposed on anybody. It will be made available publicly for free of charge. And so let the results speak when they come. So so others can speak on.
Narasimhan, you can come now.
Yes, thank you. Sir, regarding this also, regarding teaching children, we put our child in a play school initially, and then we heard about another, wherein they are told they will teach the children through what is known as Glenn-Dorman. I don't know how many might have heard about this. When we took our child, which was 2.5 years old, to that place, the mentor there, she told, "You are late." Late? What do you speak, madam? You are late by at least 2 years, she told. Madam, she is hardly 2.5 years old. She told, "You must have brought your child when she was 6 months old." So then she explained, so as children grow, their physical bodies grow slowly, whereas their brains grow very highly quickly. So during this period, from 6 months to 2 to 2.5 years, the brain growth is extraordinary. Then you can put literally infinite info into their brains, but that is not going to be very easy. You can hardly engage the children for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And during those times, she told, you have to prepare cards kind of things. You have to show them as images. So every letter will be, you can show R, E, E, etc. All those will be stored in their brains as images. So that is a wonderful method. It worked also. So 2 years, I think, is not going to be very difficult. You can put these things in now with the advancement of technology. You can use computer images. All the children can, as explained by Professor Doctor, they can be exposed to these things, and the children can learn it without much. As he told, it can be an experiment. Can be made as an experiment. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. Just to add further, thank you very much for that, for such a supportive statement. In fact, the recently published paper, I have a section. I request Mutigaru to look over that. immense inherent capacity of the children's learning thing. And I have given various references. And the sooner you expose the child to other languages, the better it is. And there are multiple references and rationales are explained. And, the child, everything they see is a wonder of their world. They are not encumbered by anything hustle bustle of the life. Okay, so that's so to me, in my mind, it is eminently feasible, and it's a matter of implementing, and proof is in the pudding. And so let us create the resources and make them available. Do the studies.
I will come back to it later, Seshika, to let others, ask questions. I think Vinayak has a question. He raised his hand.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually pick up on what Murthy said. So, Seshi, this is, as I've said previously dozens of times, this is a phenomenal effort by you. I think it's very exciting because of the goals that you have. And you've already come up with a method. Whether this method is the perfect method, you'll probably refine it yourself in the future with your academy and with your organization. So I'm not concerned about where it will go in terms of the approach, but I think this whole effort brings an image of the man and the sea. It's like, you, the man, is facing a sea of things to do. You need to get the buy-in, like Murthy said, from the parents, from the governments. You need state governments, and you probably need influencers. So a lot must be done. I'm sure you're already doing many of these things, as I heard that you invited 200 people to come here. One idea that came regarding this effort to be done is that at the end you mentioned that one of the goals is to also popularize Sanskrit. So I think there are other organizations both in India and US that have that goal. I think it's called Sanskrit Bharati, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Maybe Narsimhan can say that. I think there is one in USA. A former postdoc in Einstein, Govind Rao, he's involved in this process, and he actually got a President's Medal for doing that. So perhaps that's one organization to team up with.
Wow.
They might appreciate another tool to, although that is not your primary goal, but I think need to join in with other organizations with similar goals.
In fact, I have been in quite touch with them, and in fact, they are familiar with my program. My concern is here, they started almost 40 years ago, and it's a very admirable job, but it didn't make major impact. Okay, so but if you are piggybacking with other languages, that has a greater chance of succeeding. So that is my comment to your comment.
Looks more likely, sir.
So, can I just play one little video song, how the apple, A for apple, is being picturized? Ramesha, is it okay?
Sajal has a comment. So let me, Sajal ask this comment, then you can play the video.
Okay.
Sajal, go ahead.
Yes. So two comments. So one comment is that in the mid-80s, IBM did a research and published a paper that Sanskrit has the most powerful knowledge representation capability, which is unambiguous, because the grammar, Panini's grammar is so unambiguous compared to any other natural language. So basically the thesis was, the paper was, among all languages, natural or artificial, like computer languages, Sanskrit is the most powerful language with unambiguous grammar and clarity for knowledge representation, but in a compact way, right? Now, having said that, I'll tell you, I come from West Bengal. So the tendency of the parents is not to encourage their students to learn the mother tongue and the language in the sense of literary understanding and having passion for it, right? It's not just speaking. And that means everybody's sending their kids to either English medium, or even if Bengali is there, maybe list priority, not even Hindi or something. My question is that it should come from the value of having mother tongue and the language and literary passion should come from very childhood, from the parents and the family, right? Without that, so having a curriculum in the school will be people will just take it for the sake of taking it to pass the exam, but that passion will not come. So I think, in my opinion, that it should start from the mother tongue. You develop the passion for language and the literature, then other languages will come automatically, because you don't have to forget one language to learn another language, right? So what is your comment on that?
Yeah, my comment is this: that's a very important concern, and that is not only just in West Bengal, but across the country. For example, in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and Telugu kids don't even learn to speak Telugu language because they choose, for example, Sanskrit, because all they have to learn is 1 or 2 slokas and get 100 marks. So it is a disaster. So if we have paid attention that this entire concept is predicated on the mother tongue. It is the child is learning Hindi background, is learning 444 Hindi words, then learning Hindi script, learning the other 444 words in 5 languages in Hindi script, as if they were all Hindi, and finally learning the scripts. So, in other words, it is entirely mother tongue based. Okay, so, and it would reinforce the concept of the mother tongue much more, because now you are constantly correlating what you have learned. They're mapped across 5 languages, okay? But it's always, you learn until you reach 4.5 years, the child is still working in the ambience of mother tongue, okay? So it can't be a better stimulus or better incentive. There is no escape. You are learning other languages, but through mother tongue. So that's my comment.
If I may add, I think, as you said, everybody wants to learn English. But Sheshi's idea is, while they are learning English, simultaneously they will learn the other languages. So that is the benefit. So everybody, all parents in India, irrespective of the state, they want their kid to learn English. But if you introduce English early on, they are okay for that. But while learning the English, they will learn the other languages. That is the benefit, right?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's develop the passion for language. That's the key part. I think start with mother language, English. There's no harm in learning more than one language, right? But question is that, but if the passion is not that everybody wants to push their kids to be scientists, engineers, doctors, or whatever, that means you are completely ignoring the literature and making your life very dry and cut. Whatever.
There is a forced interest to learn English. So when you are forced interest, along with the English, you will develop the skills for other languages. And if there is an interest in language, automatically they will become very proficient with that.
Yeah.
And I think Venkatraman has a question. Let's take it.
Go ahead,
Venkat, do you have a question?
Yes. First of all, this is your work is fantastic.
Thank you.
I think that the Sanskrit should be the national language. And there is a problem with the Sanskrit is not a Hindu language or a Christian language. It is a universal language. And it was created 5,000 years before. So I think you have to remove the taboo that the Sanskrit is only a Hindu language. It can be read, it can be studied by everybody.
Absolutely. And the best way to achieve, I believe personally, that piggybacking with the other languages, because with that, when there are only 24,000 speakers, you won't even find the speakers to. In fact, if I want to get something translated from English or other language to Sanskrit, I have to pay 3 times money to get that done. There are not many people. So your goal of making Sanskrit as a national language, it won't work. But instead, just to let it become the national language, piggybacked and learned along with the other languages quietly, without making noise. Let it become, let the children learn, let them experience the splendor and the beauty and greatness of that language. See, we are not going to force on anybody. They have to feel it. But if the child is learning, oh my God, this is fantastic. Okay, so that is the way to get this ball rolling. What I meant to say, the age 2 to 5 year old, they have no other burdens. They don't have to get a job. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to learn anything. So just let them enjoy. That it is a 3-year course. Let's say it that way.
But the parents should have the encouragement. You know that some parents are they are very much against learning Sanskrit. There are people here.
I know, but they are not learning Sanskrit. They are learning it back to the back door. Okay, so the moment they experience the child, parent cannot stop. If the child, a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, experiences the spark of it, splendor of it, nobody can stop them.
Yeah, what Seshi you're trying to say is very, very important. Don't make that as a frictional point. Make it as a consequence, so that there is no friction, no debate, and no, all those things. I absolutely agree with you. A couple of things I want to say before I shut my mouth off is, we are, all these things, we are talking about the privileged children. When a child, majority of Indian children still are those who are either going back to labor or those who go to school to earn their living. Okay. And so the parents, motivating parents that this is really good for them, it doesn't immediately show them the value. If they learn English, they can go and do coding and they can make money. Okay. So one thing one needs to do is value add of multi-language. That's first thing. Okay. Even to those who cannot, who do not have privileges like the other children. Second thing I want to bring in is very important thing that is India is going through is they are grinding their children 18 hours, 20 hours a day, squeezing, sucking every inch of, creativity out of them. Okay. And in that process, how this is going to affect them. That is one thing that you need to look into, because the whole Indian, educational system is only directed towards getting grades, genuinely, or through copying or corruption, get a job or get a doctor, get a, engineer, whatever, Sajal was saying. This is corruption, what you're talking about. And that corruption has to be addressed. And finally, I went through multilingual background, as I have, written in your book forward. I went through it, and I still have multilingual family. But I tell you one thing: even if a child at the 2 and 5 can learn 5 languages, as the child grows and gets into the society, unless these languages are practiced, they will die off sooner or later. Only thing that will remain is the brain that is open for multiple ways of thinking than monocultural, monotheistic approach. Okay, these are the practical things I want to bring it in here. These are I hope you understand definitely, and then look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. They are all valid points, and I am counting on the age these languages are being introduced, completely unprejudiced. I mean, most of us can recall those childhood experiences, so they are indelible, no matter whatever happens later. It's not like learning at age 15 or age 25 another language. You can't even move to the second lesson. Okay, so that age, and so somehow I believe that and it would transform their minds magically, because yeah.
Sheshi, this is Rao from Omaha. I think you have developed an excellent concept. The next stage is really take it to a test case. You have to figure out somehow, with somebody's help, a financial help, take this to a test case, and that will produce a lot of good data that can be taken forward. That's my opinion.
Your opinion is absolutely valid. And to get to that point, we need to build the resources. And to build the resources, at least from now on, external funding is needed. That's what I would be trying. The fact that now I have, the ground is fully prepared for that. That is, Website is there, ebook is there, and documentary is there. Now the peer-reviewed publication is there. So I would be knocking on every door possible, and I would be applying to conventional grants to various foundations. So the thing is, my first priority is to get the funds to produce 444 nursery rhymes and monolingual, 444 multilingual, and 888 nursery rhymes in 5 languages. It would need a couple of $1 million. Post them there. Let people enjoy. Not only the children, but their parents also would start learning. It should be an enjoyable activity, not something. And in fact, as I outlined in the paper, I would like to bring in the cultural aspects. For example, Sanskrit in the mode of ekshagana, and Telugu rhymes in the form of burra katha, and English like poems, and Hindi Bollywood type of music. What I mean to say, this got to be an entertaining exercise, and we are not forcing anybody. This is free. Until Rao Garu, the kind of data you are mentioning, until that kind of data comes, it is not going to become, Indian school system, which is as diverse, is not going to accept the methodology. So this is going to be a self-standing, free from governmental dependence or interference, and funded by public funding, make it available free of charge to anybody, anywhere. So the other point, Murtigaru brought up, there are underprivileged people, and all may not have digital literacy and all that. When it comes to the point, when the resources are built, then it's the distribution. Maybe we would come up with a specific tablet where all this multilingual rhymes and everything is posted, and get the funding, make it available to every household. It's like, to give you the analogy, I discovered the COVID vaccine, but now we have to produce in large quantities. We have to test it. We have to make it available to everybody. So it goes in different phases. I'm going to work on it as long as I can breathe and as long as I can think. So this is what I will be working.
Yeah, great passion. Thank you, Fishy. Thank you. We know.
Any other questions, comments?
Digging into underprivileged children, regarding that, it comes to my mind like this. It can be taken as a community effort. There can be a large video display wherein parents can bring their children, maybe 2-year-old children, 3 years, they can watch the things.
Absolutely.
So if it is a community effort, then it is going to be more successful.
Sir, the thing that we need to do is not about community effort, but ensure there is a value add to those people. They are their survival. Okay, so it is a value add that makes the parents to send their children to where they think that their children would have a better life than they themselves. Okay, one thing that we need to make sure that we do not, separate the society, which is already separated into elitism and labor, and that's where I'm not going to any other details. We want to make sure that we need to give value add. We should not make the French language and English language, English people at one point.
Yeah,
I think Venkateshwaran has a comment. Yeah. Venkateshwaran, go ahead.
Yeah, first and foremost is I salute the great work that you have done. It's really outstanding. I mean, as far as the implementation, of course, there are going to be difficulties, but one of the possible avenues for implementation is, in this country, if you really look at the Montessori schools, obviously, people are coming there, and what you are offering is, again, almost a ready-made curriculum that really can be used for systems like that. And I mean, the benefit value added is, it's not just one language. I mean, they are getting all of them. It is in a really an enjoyable, entertaining way. The same way is also in an Indian system that there are daycares. I mean, again, those 2 to 5 year old, they are coming there, and I mean, those kids need to be engaged during the time when they are there. I mean, here you are providing them avenue, and especially a simple curriculum that can be implemented by so many different daycare, and you are not imposing anything, because you are just almost a natural assimilation of the thing, and you are let them blossom by themselves. And again, I think there are many ways it can be done, and many like organizations. A simple thing is, at least I am aware of Chinmaya Mission and their international schools and all these things. People come for Bal Vihar classes. I mean, they can just get the value. And more than anything else, I was so much impressed is by this process, you are making them learn Sanskrit. Once they know the Sanskrit, read, write, the amount of treasure that is there, because, if I really want to go there and read anything, our scriptures, all those things, if I don't have that basic thing, I cannot do it. So here, by this process, you are making the people who learn the Sanskrit language, to them, making it available a treasure. So I think it's all such a wonderful thing, and I am very confident it will succeed one way or other. And I will try to get in touch with you and see whatever else that I can do from my part. Thank you very much.
And very good suggestions. I think getting onto these daycares and Balavihars, Montessori's and things. I think these are very young kids, and if you can get them hooked onto this one, I think that's a very, very nice way to get your foot inside the game.
Can we play the Apple song? So that way.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Put it.
Hey, Seshi, you mentioned about corruption in the beginning. Can you get back to it and say how you want to address it through multilanguaging?
Well, corruption part, all our people standards, our character is built at a very, very early age. And how many people what is Dharmic culture? What is Sanatana Dharma? And at this stage, we are trying to understand through the secondary sources. Okay? But on the other hand, if you are inculcated as a small child, if you are learning Sanskrit along with the other 4 languages, they will be learning what this cosmos is. They may all sound like a big concept, but the child can grasp if they are presented in a proper way. My point is, if you have learned the ethical standards very early on, and if they are internalized, I mean, you would be very hard to make corrupt, indulge corrupt practices. Your mind would be hurting, heart would be bothering, and so, in other words, just to give you, I don't know if it is appropriate. Let me give you, if I may say my background. I come from a village, small village. We didn't even have school. My parents were illiterate. They did not even speak Telugu. Okay? And luckily, I had some good teachers from age 1 or 2 onwards. Everything was a wonder. And but my parents, although they were illiterate, I mean, they had Dharmic culture. I don't know how they got it. I think through my God. Okay? But whatever it is, I gave 4 years of my time, full time, and not to mention the finances side. So I had that that concept imbibed into me. Okay, and so what I'm saying, anything inculcated in the formative years is going to be indelible. So in 30-40 years, when there are 24 million kids are born every year in India, and if everybody would start learning Sanskrit, in 2 years, about 700 million people in India would be speaking Sanskrit, and they would have learned that as a small child. It's not just learning or age 15 or something, at a very early age. And we don't know how many people would be poets, scholars, and so that's inculcating very early on would have a lasting impact. Thank you.
One more thing is maybe I have had interactions with people like coconut sellers kind of people who are very honest. When I miss some 10 rupees, 50 rupees, they call me and give us the money, which I would not have forgotten. I would not have remembered. But they were, when the next day when I went, he gave it to me. Only when they become rich or not necessarily rich, when they become politicians, not necessarily into politics, but their minds are like that. They become corrupt kind of things, even in institutions, anywhere. They get into politics, they become corrupt. Maybe that is one thing. One more thing is maybe if children, they know their rich cultural heritage, their roots, that may give a sense of pride in them, because of which they may not indulge in such cheap things. One more thing is maybe learning science, learning mathematics. That is nowhere torture in school side, in my opinion. Whereas if you go to Leelavati kind of people in books, algebra is introduced. Children learn it as fun. So it is given in the form of shlokas, where some riddles are given. You need to solve the riddles, for which you need to use algebra. So those kinds of things may be experimented with, so that children can these values in them, and the education also can be made really enjoyable. Our Indian way of giving things is going to be a great help.
Good point. Good point. Thanks, Narasimhan. Any other questions, comment? If not, Shashi, thanks a lot for sharing your work and ideas.
I don't know whether Subara wants to say a few words.
Congratulations, Shashi. Congratulations. You did a great job. You are always out of the box guy right from the beginning, and you proved it further.
Thank you so much.
I especially thank Manodal sir. I thought at the outset he was a misfit. I'm no scientist. I know engineering, background kind of things, purely language. But very enjoyable for me.
Thank you. Subara sir. And thank you so much for this. It meant a lot to me. Thank you so much.